to see where Regina is.
Oh, here she is.
Hi, Regina.
Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on transition programs, preparing and supporting students with IEPs and Section 504 plans for their post-secondary pursuits. This panel is presented to you tonight by SPED at Wilton in partnership with Wilton Public Schools and Newtown SPED PTA. We are grateful for their support. Transition from high school can be an exciting and scary time for students and parents, especially for our students with learning, social, and executive function challenges. Whether they're continuing their education after high school or seeking employment, often our students need more time after high school to continue to develop those skills necessary to be successful and independent adults. Each one of these programs presented to you tonight offers unique support to help students develop those critical life skills necessary for success and self-sufficiency, whether in college or the workplace. We're so excited to have 4 professionals from 4 wonderful programs here with us tonight. We have Christy Chandler, Director of Admissions at Chapel Haven Schleifer Center, Regina Long, E3 Program Director at the Glenholm School, Jake Weld, Vice President of Enrollment and Business Development at Mansfield Hall, and Lauren Macbeth, Executive Director, Westport College Prep. They will provide information on their programs, and we will allow for questions and answers at the end. Just a few housekeeping matters. Please take a stroll through our website. It's new and improved at www.spednetwilton.org. We hope you'll find it easy to use, informative, and inspiring. You could access so much information from dozens of videos from our webinars, PowerPoints, and related materials and articles. All of the information presented tonight will be posted to our website as well, including the webinar recording. Also available on our website, our acclaimed guide to special services, Bringing Knowledge to the Table, How to be an Effective Advocate for Your Child. Our guide walks you through the special services process in a clear, concise, and user-friendly way. We could provide you with a soft copy on request. If you have students in the Wilton Public Schools, you can receive a free copy from the district. It can also be ordered on our website through Amazon. Our SPEDNet Wilton board is here today to answer questions after the presentation. We have Eve Kessler, Executive Director and co-founder of SPEDNet Wilton, co-presidents Carolina Corrigan and myself, Janine Kelly. Just a few ground rules before we get started. We will leave time for questions after the end of the presentations. Please make sure you type them into the Q&A and not the chat because it's easier for us to keep track of them through the Q&A. Also, please specify who your question is for. Be mindful that this is an open forum and the presentation is being recorded, so we can't guarantee confidentiality. You may not want to reveal any private information in your questions. And lastly, any information provided in this presentation by the speakers or the SPEDNet Wilton board is not intended to be legal or therapeutic advice. The content, information, and materials are for general information only. And with that being said, I will turn the mic over to Christy Chandler. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you. So glad to be here tonight. I'm going to do a little screen share with you guys so you can see my PowerPoint presentation. So Chapel Haven is in Westville neighborhood of New Haven, Connecticut. So we're not too far from you guys in Wilton, and has been around since 1972. So we've got a really long track history. And so I'm excited to share with you all the different options that we have available at Chapel Haven, because I think we have a tendency to be known for just a small subset of our programs. And so I'm really hoping to, especially as local Connecticut people tonight, help you guys learn about all the different options that are available. All right, so just a quick slide to kind of show you the breadth of those. So we do have several different residential options. We've got several different day program options. Under both the residential and day program options, those include our transition programs that are comprehensive transition programs. But then also under our day options, we do have some programming that is intended to provide day programming for adults who are maybe looking to supplement vocational opportunities or volunteer opportunities that they're involved in. And then we also have a really fantastic recreation program as well that's available to anybody virtually or in person, and you don't have to be connected to any other Chapel Haven programs to access that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So moving in just to help break down what all these different acronyms are. You know, we love our acronyms in special education. So our REACH program was our founding program that we started with, and it actually stands for Residential Education at Chapel Haven. And This program serves young adults who have a broad range of mild developmental and intellectual disabilities. So these are young adults who might be on the autism spectrum, maybe Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. Sometimes we see some students with maybe traumatic brain injury or, just other learning differences here. Most of these young adults have borderline IQs or maybe a mild intellectual disability. So typically this population is not often traditional college bound, but may go on to do some certificate programming through community colleges and things like that. Very capable young adults who tend to be concrete learners. So they really benefit from having repetition to practice and hone these routines that they can develop and then carry forward with them into independent living settings. Typically, it's a 2-year program for students who are doing it residentially or day. Sometimes we have students who maybe are coming to us having already done some prior independent living experiences. We often have students transitioning out of Riverview's GROW program or Maplebrook's program. And so they've already got some skills under their belt and might just need a little bit of programming from us before they're ready to make a transition. Sometimes we also have a student who just benefits from a little bit longer in the program. So one of the great things about Chapel Haven is they really do a fantastic job of individualizing to meet the adult where they are in their journey. Pretty exciting thing about the REACH program is that it has been a part of our fantastic campus expansion that we've completed in the last couple of years. So the residential and classroom building is brand new, really designed with our adults in mind, so not just creating apartments for the sake of apartments or classrooms for the sake of apartments, but, tailoring it to benefit them in their learning styles and wayfinding and all those kinds of exciting things. So they've got really fantastic 2- and 3-bedroom apartments that they're living in where they're getting to live and breathe independent living all day, every day. So they have supports in the apartment setting. And they have classes that they take both in the classroom setting on our campus, but then also out in our community. And one thing I don't have included in here tonight is our video about our Westville neighborhood, but I would definitely encourage you guys to check out our website. It's there on our homepage because our Westville neighborhood really is a significant support in helping our adults have a safe place to live out the things that they're learning. And, it's a place where they live, they work, they play. We're well integrated into the community, and our accessibility in the neighborhood really makes the ability for our adults to sustain that independence for the long term even more possible. So we're really excited to be a part of that community. You can see there the kind of the cornerstones of the REACH program are functional academics, the life skills, social communication skills, vocational skills, health and wellness, safety, always a part of what we're working on there. We do have certified special education teachers. We have a full-time speech language pathologist, and then we have other staff that are trained in working with adults with disabilities. Another important thing to note about both this program and the ASAP program is that they are approved transition programs for Connecticut's Department of Education. So we have had several students placed with us either in our day program and even sometimes residentially as well. So that's certainly a conversation that could be had with your IEP teams. The REACH program and the ASAP program, which I'm going to talk about next, both have long-term supported graduate populations as well. So one of the great things about Chapel Haven is that you can come there to learn and meet some short-term goals, but you can also be there for the long term to have that supported network of services available to you and social community available to you, which I think is really the driving force why about 80% of our graduates do continue to stay on in our area after they complete their transition programming. So the ASAP program came along a little after, quite a bit later actually, from our REACH program, and it was in the beginning designed with the support of the Yale Child Study Center and several experts in the field of autism to create a curriculum that really drove deep with social communication competencies. And so this program tends to serve young adults who have what used to be called Asperger disorder. Now, sometimes we see now called ASD Level 1. So these tend to be adults on the spectrum or that have nonverbal learning disabilities, social communication disorders. They typically do not have a mild intellectual disability as part of their cognitive profile. So we do have supports available for these students who wish to pursue college. That's not a requirement of the program, but definitely something that we support. And where we're located, we have very close accessibility to Southern Connecticut State University, Gateway Community College, Quinnipiac. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to pursue college and have that additional layer of supports from us, particularly around the executive functioning skills and the social communication skills. Just like with the REACH program, they are based in apartments on our campus. And so they're learning all the nuts and bolts that they need to develop adult independent living skills. So in this program, I mentioned that the REACH program tends to be pretty concrete learners. And in this program, I think we all benefit from concrete learning, but rather than spending so much time on learning how to do things in the ASAP program, these adults often benefit from more time spent around why is it important that we do these things on a consistent basis. And so helping them to go a little bit deeper with some of the theory of mind concepts and perspective taking to start connecting with what those adult expectations are out in the world in job settings and college settings and social settings. As I mentioned before, just with the REACH program, there's also a supported graduate community available that looks like a la carte supports for our students. And so typically that's getting about 2.5 hours per week of staff support. And then many of our adults choose to stay connected to our social opportunities that are available on evenings and weekends, and maybe some of our adult ed classes. We've had a lot of success with our career ability program, which has kind of two sides to it. It serves as an opportunity for students to develop employment skills. And then when they're ready, we actually have employment services where we are doing customized employment for our adults to be placed in competitive positions. So I mentioned our community life program earlier as a day program that is available for adults looking to supplement other opportunities they might have going on. Nice thing about that program is for adults who qualify for DDS and have a day service option budget, that community life program could be funded through that budget. There are some instances where a small piece of that DSO budget could also potentially be used to support the REACH residential tuition as well. Continuing adult ed, both ASAP and REACH have a la carte classes available. So you don't have to have done any of the transition program in either one of those programs to be able to sign up and take just a class or two if you're looking to supplement other things that you have going on. In the ASAP program in particular, we've had a lot of students who during summer break from college are looking to still stay engaged and moving forward toward their goals. And so they found, some real success with those options. The ASAP program does have rolling admissions, so we take applications throughout the year. The REACH program tends to have a summer or a fall start instead. And I didn't want to leave off our SAIL program. That is our newest addition to our campus, and that is an opportunity for graduates from the REACH program or some of our adults who have been living independently, but now they're aging, to have an opportunity to age in place on our campus. So it's again a supervised, supported living option in apartments on our campus, intended to be long-term, and that does continue to be a tuition-based program. We opened that building right as the pandemic hit, and a year later we were completely full. So it is full right now, but we are looking to incorporate some additional housing options into our campus here in the next couple of years because we recognize that there's such a fantastic need for that. So my 10 minutes went a lot faster than I thought I would. I can talk, but contact information here on the page. This will be available on the website. Be happy to chat with anybody further if they have additional questions. Thanks again for having me.
Christy, there's a quick question here. Is there an age limit to participate in the REACH program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it tends to be between 18 and 30 at the very upper limit. I would say most of the young adults are in their 20s.
Thank you so much, Christy. That was great. I'm sure we'll have many questions at the end. Now we have Regina from Glenholm. Regina, I think you might be on mute.
Good evening. I'm
There
Regina
you are.
Long.
Welcome, Regina.
Hi, how are you? I'm the director of the transition program at E3. We are located on the border of Washington and New Preston. We have a residential home that presently has 15 students in there, and it's a co-ed home that is 24-hour staffed. We serve the ages of 18 to 23. Students graduate at 23. We just started a new program where we have students living in apartment size, like a New York style housing in Torrington, Connecticut. In Torrington, we have what we call a hub, and there we teach the students, how to kind of, live in a small city setting. So there, if it's in their IP to learn how to cross the street, they can do that. There, they can go to the Y by themselves if that's what they can do. They'll learn to go to the grocery store. They learn to shop. They really transition and kind of get the feel of being on their own. We teach them that in Torrington. What we do is we do a lot of job and also internships. So the students start off doing an internship. We have internships at Faja's Chocolate, Walgreens, Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, places like that around the Torrington area. And what we do is we really try to teach the students, how to be, we try to watch to see what they can do in a job setting and teaching them how to be in a job setting. First of all, we have life skill classes, and we teach them how to interview. We teach them how to dress on a job, how to be on a job, how to live. We have banking classes, and they go to the banks and, see how you deposit your checks and learn how to budget. We also do a lot of life skill learning for the students, how to have difficult conversations, how to live on your own, how to navigate, how to talk to a boss and talk to other peers at work. We do a lot of things like that. We have a lot of recreational things along in New Preston. They do a lot of trail walking, a lot of wellness things we also do there. Some things that we are teaching the students, a few of them are going to Northwestern University. So they're going to school, and we have staff that bring them there. We also teach driving skills. So we have a few students that have their permits and getting ready to purchase a car. And that's basically it for the E3 program. We are getting ready to expand to do a day program to begin to look at, having some students, be there for the day. But that's basically it. And usually when they leave E3, it depends. Sometimes they go back home to their parents. Sometimes they're living in their own apartments. Some go to other residential facilities.
Thank you very much, Regina. I missed whether you said at the beginning, is your grouping located on the Glenholm campus, or is it somewhere else?
It's somewhere else. We're about 10 minutes from the Glenholm. Glenholm is in Washington, and the E3 program, our Glen Ridge, which is called Glen Ridge, is located about 10 minutes away from Glenholm, and it's on the border of New Preston and Washington. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful area, New Litchfield, beautiful. So we do a lot of trail walking, a lot of exercising there. But we're about 10 minutes from Glenholm in our own building.
That's great. Are they ever on the Glenholm campus, or is it pretty much self-sufficient?
They're pretty much self-sufficient there. We do go to Glenholm. We have they go and see their psychiatrists. Nursing is at Glenholm. So sometimes they'll go and see their social workers. Sometimes the social workers will come to Glen Ridge. Or, sometimes the students will go up to Glenholm to go see their social workers or see the psychiatrists up there. That's the main campus where, we have the horse barn there and swimming facilities and exercising. So we can access that, but we're really trying to teach the students how to live in the community and be in the community and be really independent. So that's why Glen Ridge is in its own separate place. but we're
Wonderful.
like 10 minutes away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Regina.
You're welcome.
And now we have Jake.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for taking the time this evening. We all really appreciate you being here. I always get nervous when I go to share my screen that it's not going to work, but I am hopeful that this is it. So here we go. I am going to talk very briefly about both Mansfield Hall and Virtual Hall. So those are two the two things that I'm going to go over really quickly. Mansfield Hall is residential, academic, social, and independent living skill support for students who are going to college. We're not the college ourselves, we're not the degree granting institution, but we are comprehensive academic, social, independent living skill support. Virtual Hall is remote coaching for college students, and I'll talk about both of them, but they are ultimately separate things. Mansfield Hall is the super dorm. Probably easiest described as the super dorm. Again, we're not the college, we're not the university, but all of our students are college students. We are a comprehensive college support network. And so the super dorm is located in 3 amazing college towns. And we are located in Burlington, Vermont, Eugene, Oregon, and Madison, Wisconsin. And students are attending any one of the colleges or universities in those 3 towns while they are living with Mansfield Hall. So in Burlington, University of Vermont, Champlain College, the Community College of Vermont. Out in Oregon, students at the University of Oregon or Bushnell or Lane, certainly all of the colleges in Madison. So Mansfield Hall is a place. It is the super dorm, and you're looking at pictures of our facilities. And Mansfield Hall is a centralized service delivery model. So what I mean by that is all of the academic and social and independent living skill support that goes into Mansfield Hall is integrated right into the living community, right into the housing, right into the students' community experience. And then Mansfield Hall itself is right in the heart of these amazing college towns. So when students are inside at Mansfield Hall, at the super dorm with other college students, they are getting all of this comprehensive academic and social support and pre-processing and planning and thinking about, what to do today or tomorrow for their college career. And then they walk out the door and they are right in the heart of 3 amazing college towns, having a very age-appropriate and very authentic collegiate experience. So Mansfield Hall, the super dorm, located in Burlington, Eugene, and Madison, Wisconsin. I'll go over very briefly who our typical student is. And I'm going to do this from the bottom to the top, but I think this will give you a pretty good idea of who Mansfield Hall is working with. If you look at our students on a bell curve, the belly of our bell curve, 65% of our students would most closely self-identify with Asperger's. I know that the diagnosis went away with the DSM-5. It is still the hook that most of our students are most comfortable hanging their hat on, but that certainly includes autism spectrum disorder level 1 or nonverbal learning disorder or PDD-NOS. Somewhere in that diagnostic constellation that we all used to call Asperger's. 15% of our students would more closely self-identify with what we used to call high-functioning autism, still very much under that umbrella of ASD level 1, but there may be 1 or 2 traits of ASD level 2. These are the students who are going to be a little bit more visibly on the autism spectrum, a little bit more apraxic speech, a little bit more stereotype behavior. These are students who you may more clearly and easily identify as on the autism spectrum, but may also be incredibly strong academically and are ready for an on-campus academic experience. The other 20% of our students on the other tail of the distribution are not on the autism spectrum at all, but maybe working with challenges in working memory or processing speed, may have a language-based learning difference like dyslexia. These are students who are looking for a highly supportive living and learning community as they're looking at making this transition into college and independence. The thread that ties this whole bell curve together is very much the piece of executive functioning that tends to be the great universal with our students. And the reality is that college is itself an extended evaluation of a student's executive functioning. So being able to provide ongoing academic and executive functioning support in multiple domains is important for our students. That's what they look like diagnostically. A little quantitative profile. Qualitatively, though, maybe much more important. 5 core criteria for enrollment. Number 1, nice, kind, thoughtful, good kids. We're fortunate enough to be picky. And if we're going to be picky about anything, we're going to be picky about nice. So that's where we start. Number 1, our students are nice. Number 2, they're college capable with support. That may mean that they're going to look at 3 or even 4 years to do an associate's degree at the community college level. It may mean that they're on a $20,000 scholarship in the physics department at the university level. And most of our students are somewhere in between. But everyone is in college. Everyone is pursuing formal post-secondary education. So they're nice. They're college capable. Given that bell curve, they're quirky, or at least quirky compatible. You don't have to self-identify as quirky to be cool at Mansfield Hall, but given that bell curve, you got to be cool with quirky. We love our quirky students. I want them to feel comfortable being exactly who they are as they are in the process of becoming who they will be, quirky or quirky compatible. They are socially motivated. Our students are going to benefit from and contribute to life in a community. Mansfield Hall is that centralized service delivery model. So community is at the core of everything that we do. That does not mean that our students have to be socially fluent, but they are socially curious. And part of the value of the residential experience is being able to support that social curiosity even when they're not fully socially fluent. And then the final piece, maybe the most important, is that our students are ready, willing, and able to work in a coaching model. We're not a therapeutic program. It's not a clinical or a behavioral approach. Our students are young adults. They're college students. They're ready to partner with helping professionals in a coaching relationship that's really designed around a goal setting, progress monitoring, growth and development process. So there you go. That's kind of the student profile, both the diagnostic, but also a little bit more qualitative profile. Everything that we do is really built around this 4 core approach of living, learning, giving, and engaging. So all of the support, all of the services, the staffing model, everything that we're doing with students is built around this 4 core approach. Students are working closely with an academic director, academic coaches, writing instructors, but they're also getting parallel support in social development and with the help of an SLP. They're also working with an independent life skills coach and also neuromajority peers that are a part of our community. They're also giving back and providing community service and developing connections in the larger community. So everything at Mansfield Hall funnels through this 4 core approach. Virtual Hall, totally different. Virtual Hall is remote coaching for college students. We're targeting 3-4 hours a week of academic and social coaching for students who are making the transition to college, but who still need a light touch from someone who's not mom and dad, but someone who will provide some executive functioning and organizational coaching for them. Virtual Hall in no way is an in-kind replacement for the entire Mansfield Hall experience, but Virtual Hall is there for students who are ready to have their own independent collegiate experience, but are still going to benefit from some academic, executive functioning, and college life coaching as they're making this transition into greater independence. It's based on the same coaching model, but ultimately for a slightly different profile. Tends to be a little bit more ADHD, executive functioning, language-based learning difference, not quite as much challenges with social cognition. So there's the contact information for both Mansfield Hall and Virtual Hall, as well as my contact information with both. And happy to answer questions and be a part. And again, just want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here this evening.
Wonderful. Jake, there are 2 questions. Lena, do you want to do them now, or Jake, would you prefer to wait till the end?
Well, let's catch them at the end because I want to make sure that everyone has time first.
Very good. Okay, so last but not least, we have Lauren from Westport College Prep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Janine. I am Lauren Macbeth, the director of Westport College Prep. We are a post-secondary program for neurodiverse learners. Our mission is to provide an exceptional, engaging transition experience through instruction in the executive functions, metacognition, and social skills required for success in college, work, and life. WCP students are 18 to 22. They are high school graduates or diploma eligible, and we are currently in year 3. So what makes WCP different? We have academic and college readiness classes. We currently have 2 cohorts of students. Every WCP student receives 3 in-person classes here in Wilton, Connecticut. This semester, we're offering English, college seminar, financial literacy as some of our classes. It allows our students to build those core skills: reading comprehension, written language, study skills, time management, executive function, problem solving, all of those core academic skills. We also added yoga and movement to our schedule this fall. And we've added student career workshops working with a UConn academic advisor on understanding social nuances within the workplace, resume writing, and interview skills. We also use Google Classroom to access assignments, edit documents, and it's incredibly interactive. In addition to our 3 in-person classes, we have dual enrollment at Landmark College. This is our partnership program. It allows our students to take up to 3 credits per semester. We work with our students on selecting those classes using a course catalog. We have everything from perspectives of learning, intro to business, statistics, to name a few. And we are the liaison to Landmark College. So we support our students with understanding their class syllabus, making time for those virtual conferences, as well as turning in all of their assignments and chunking their work into manageable parts. WCP Live just launched this fall. It allows our students, it allows us to access students across the country, and our live students participate in virtual classes with WCP teachers and peers, as well as attend cohort meetups. And we added an academic coaching component so our students are able to receive the executive function support, as well as understanding time management and academic responsibilities. Our weekly service learning is one of my favorite things that we offer. It's every Friday. We have a rotating schedule, both on campus and off campus opportunities. Our students work within local community organizations. It's a wonderful social opportunity. Also building problem solving, communication skills, working in small groups on community projects. Most recently, our students created a drive for hygiene kits for the Pacific House in Stanford. And this month we're working on a food drive for filling in the blanks, combating childhood hunger here in Norwalk. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our students to learn about different community projects and organizations and also work with their peers. And speaking of peers, we also have our social skills programming in partnership with the Hangout Spot. Every Friday, we offer our social skills groups as part of every student's schedule, just building overall social awareness and working together, building conversational skills. It's part of every student's schedule on Friday afternoons. We also have more information can be found on our website for related services. For example, we have one-to-one academic coaching, life coaching, college consulting, assessments and testing, and many different add-on services on our website. Last but not least is our internships. This is student-centered. We focus on just building those career readiness skills, starting with an internship intake questionnaire, where our goal is really to understand what our students are most interested career-wise and then place them within an internship each semester. Here's a sampling of some of our internship opportunities this fall. We're working with Sweet Pea Bakery in Norwalk, Earth Place. We have a student that just started working within Animal Hall, actually with a boa constrictor. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but he's very excited. Canine College is a boarding and dog training facility in Reading that we have a student placed in. Reading Partners, one of our live students in Minnesota, is placed within an elementary school as a reading partner. As well as the Porch at Christie's. We have a student who's very interested in the restaurant industry and started an internship there just last week. Here's some more information about our admissions and tuition process. We have a rolling admissions process. That means a student can join at any point in the semester. They could also join for the full year program. As I mentioned, we have distance learning through our WCP Live, as well as an in-person schedule. We follow a college calendar. So our full program is September through May. And we also added intersession and summer programming classes. That's all going to be actually updated on our website in the next few weeks as we finalize the spring and summer schedule. Speaking of our website was recently redone, so our students can actually apply right online, which really streamlines the process. Parents can schedule a tour online as well, and our website is the best way to get in touch with us if families have any questions. We're back to in-person tours, and we welcome visiting families into the building. And I'm just happy to be part of the panel today. Thank you. Look forward to answering any questions about Westport College Prep.
This was great. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, everyone. We do have a lot of questions, so we can start there. I just wanted to make one point, which I thought was great, that each one of you in your own way said that you take the students and you meet them where they are, you embrace them where they are when they come to you, and you help them to become who they're meant to be. And I think that is just so beautiful. So with that being said, Lena, do you want to start with the questions?
Yeah, sure. I can see Jake's typed a few answers. Let me get up to the top here. So this is the question E3. So this is a question for you, Regina. E3 mentioned having students till 23. How does this correspond to the Connecticut 22nd birthday regulation for a transition program?
We have students, they graduate when they're 23, if that answers your question. They're graduating at 23, but they're there from 18 to 23. And they can leave before if that's, if depending on if they're funded by by a school, or if they're funded, or if their, guardian or parents are paying. So it really, depends, but they graduate at 23, if that answers the question.
Okay, I have something when this says, is there a residential? So if whoever, it's an anonymous question. So if you want to tell us which, okay.
I wonder if that pertains to Westport College Prep.
Maybe,
We are a day program. So we
okay,
don't have a residential component yet. Never say never, but we are a day program right now.
okay. So, okay. What is the social and intellectual profile of the student who attends E3? What kind of career training do they focus on? What careers do they lead to? Same question regarding career types that program leads to at Chapel Haven.
So most of the students are on, it really depends. A lot of the students are on the autistic spectrum. They usually, they come in with more of the, usually needing a more social and emotional assistance, but it just varies. They're on a track for, I mean, most of some of the students come in, they're pretty self-sufficient and need a lot of social cues and social needs. So we're teaching them to, like, we have one student that's working at full-time at Walgreens, just got as a man, he just transferred actually to a job, got a job at CVS as a manager, which is good. And then he's going to be going to school to be a counselor at Northwestern. So it just really depends. I mean, some of our students will never be able to work independently. We'll have to work in a group setting. And some will be able to work independently. So it varies. We have a few students that work like at a horse barn, some that work at the hospital, some that work at like working with cars, the train station. It varies.
All right, so we do have a question, but I think Jake is answering it.
There's a question about
Yeah.
supports for dyslexia and structure, structured education. So Mansfield Hall students are all taking classes at the local colleges or universities. And that includes, University of Wisconsin, University of Vermont, University of Oregon, also the community colleges. We are supporting students in that very traditional college setting. In that college setting, students are receiving accommodations through the Office of Student Services. It's worth noting that there is a functional fundamental difference between accommodations and modifications. Accommodations are things like extra time, quiet testing, maybe access to professor notes before a lecture, which can really help with students with a processing speed challenge or dysgraphia or dyslexia, because it's difficult to take notes and listen while you write at the same time. Those are accommodations, which is different than modifications. Colleges and universities do not modify the curriculum. Students can get accommodations, but they're moving out of high school, which means the end of modifications. The work that we're doing is sort of hitting on a couple areas. We're helping students learn how to access and utilize that Office of Student Services where they get their accommodations. We're helping them learn how to advocate for themselves and work with their professors to activate the accommodations that they've been offered by the Office of Student Services. And then we are helping them learn how to build the internal structure and organization and executive functioning in order to get through college papers and projects. But we're not necessarily doing content reteaching, nor are we doing a lot of very subject-specific tutoring. Our students tend to need support in executive functioning, task analysis, task initiation, organization, breaking things down, working on them regularly so that after 6 weeks you have a 10-page paper instead of a crisis. But we don't tend to spend a lot of time on the specifics of structured language acquisition. We're not a Linda Mood Bell or Orton Gillingham modeled dyslexia program. That kind of work is being done before they get to college ultimately. So hopefully that begins to answer a little bit about the structured language support and the specific supports for dyslexia. I will say though that Mansfield Hall, we do recognize that college and collegiate writing is often one of the most difficult things for all students, not just students on the spectrum or students with learning differences, but globally speaking, collegiate writing is difficult, which is why we have in-house writing instructors and provide structured study hall on a regular basis. That's embedded in the Mansfield Hall environment. But our contact point on the colleges is that Office of Student Services. Just like a parent, we can't pick up the phone and talk to the biology professor or let the poli-sci professor know that they had a rough night last night. And I know there's a quiz today, but can they please do it tomorrow? It's college. We can't do that. But what we can do is work with our students to partner with the Office of Student Services to get accommodations, to advocate for what they can get for their professors. But we're ultimately really helping support them navigating a very real world environment on a college campus. We are a well-articulated system to help them integrate into the turning wheel of college, but we don't fundamentally change what's expected at the college. I hope that provides a little bit of answer.
Yeah, right now I don't see any other, but I'll give it a little bit because people might be typing. I saw there was another question for you, Christy, but you answered it.
Yeah, if I may, though, I will just kind of generally answer.
Yeah.
Jake had pointed out about Mansfield Hall not being a therapeutic setting, and Chapel Haven's the same. So we have a lot of adults who have, anxiety and sometimes some depression as comorbid diagnoses. And so if those can be successfully supported through having that point person to go to, but not necessarily needing that clinical piece embedded in the day-to-day, then we could certainly, potentially support a student like that. But in general, if somebody's got aggressive behaviors or who has had self-harm in the past year, that might be somebody who would need more supports than what we have available. While we are a 24/7 supervised program, meaning there's options for somebody to always be available and awake day or night, we're not a line of sight program too. So sometimes if students have concerns related to elopement or just needing kind of eyes on at all times, they may benefit from a more supported and structured setting than ours.
Thank you, Christy. So it may be good to circle back to Regina. Regina, do you have a therapeutic element to your program? Just so parents understand.
I'm sorry. Yes, we are a therapeutic boarding school, and we have a lot of resources around the students. So there's a psychiatrist, social workers, guidance counselors, special ed teachers, coordinators. So we're a therapeutic boarding school. We have nursing there where we administer meds, and we teach the students to to learn, what meds they're taking, what side effects they have, why they're taking them. We do have some people that, can't be left alone, in the community. And we do deal with, some students that have, I would say, like mild behaviors. So yes, we are therapeutic boarding school.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sort of answered the question that just came in. It's a question for Chapel Haven and Glenholm. They're asking if there are behaviorists on staff.
We do have a trained BCBA on our staff. She doesn't function primarily in that capacity, but she does have that training. But we would not be like an ABA-based program, if that's what the question is trying to get at.
We do have trained behaviors with ABA, yes.
It looks like there is a comment in the chat from Jeffrey Spar. Our son is at Chapel Haven now and is thriving. He had spent 2 years at Maplebrook and it was not the right fit. We have seen a noticeable growth in his independence even after these few months. Also, we had Miss Macbeth at Winston Prep, and she was great as an instructor.
Thank you, Mr. Spar.
So while people are maybe formulating some questions, we intentionally brought all of you together today to show that there's a wide range of supports out there for families once they leave the high school setting. We have obviously a wide range of students with their abilities, and it's really nice to see that there's places out there, wonderful programs that can meet students where they are and take them to where they need to be.
Yeah, I can see some people are dropping off, so I don't know. I don't see if you want to give it another minute or so if somebody's typing. Oh, yes, I said that. It says about 523 plants. I'm not familiar with that.
It might be meaning 529
Before.
plans. I saw somebody had that earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, 529 plans are like college saving plans. So at Chapel Haven, because we are not a degree granting institution, we cannot accept direct distributions from a 529 plan. However, you can roll some of those 529 plans into an ABLE account, and then you can pay for Chapel Haven services through an ABLE account. Chapel Haven does also have scholarships available. And there is, as I mentioned before, in some cases where there might be some DDS funding that would be available, and then the potential for school district funding if that's approved by the IEP team.
And with Mansfield Hall, students are able to use 529 funds. Ultimately, Mansfield Hall is, our wagon is so tightly hitched to the collegiate experience that we are considered to be under the umbrella of the costs associated with going to college. So not only can you use the 529 funds directly for the college tuition at college or university of choice, but they could also be used for some Mansfield Hall. Mansfield Hall tuition is all-inclusive, room and board, supports and services, activities, everything included. Families make an independent financial relationship with their college or university of choice on a per credit basis. So you're not paying full fare at the local colleges. And all of our students start out with a reduced course load. So you're paying on a per credit, not a full tuition. And the one other piece of that is that all of the schools that we work with offer open enrollment. So students do not have to formally apply to or be accepted at one of those schools in order to make the Mansfield Hall decision and be a real college student. They can register for classes as a non-matriculated student. You're paying for those credits on a per credit basis, and you can use 529 funds for that tuition or the Mansfield Hall tuition.
That's a very good point, Jake. And I guess the same question would go to you, Regina and Christy. When your students are with you, they can apply from there to take college courses, correct?
Yes,
Yes, they can take college classes while they're with us, and we can provide supports for that.
yes.
So we have a question. A son is 14, struggling his freshman year. Very thankful for this presentation to give me and my husband an idea of some services available. Are there programs like Mansfield for high school students?
There are some great boarding schools and day schools that are out there for students on the autism spectrum or who might have some language-based learning differences or disabilities. I think that, every student is different, every family is different, every situation is different. Accessing your local resources, I think, is really important. Talking with your home school district and resources in that district. And oftentimes, I know that the folks on here have got great relationships with educational professionals and other folks who all they do all day, every day is, both physically and digitally travel the country looking at schools and programs for students. And so potentially finding an educational consultant to help navigate that conversation. But but I'm going to go ahead and take that as a compliment. And so thanks for the compliment. And you're looking at a whole bunch of phenomenal organizations and programs here, and there are equivalent and parallel things happening for adolescents at the secondary high school level that run parallel with almost all of our programs on some level. And I think that's true for every option that's demonstrated here, not just Mansfield Hall.
I would like to say that at Glen Home School, we do take students that are younger. So that might be, if they were interested, they can apply, could apply at Glen Home.
So let's see, if your student wants to obtain a BA, they don't have to be accepted by the colleges. So if they want to earn the degree, you technically have to be accepted by the college, and you don't have to be accepted to start out taking classes. So about half of our students start out as a non-matriculated student. They're real classes, real credit, real grades, real transcript, transferable, but they haven't formally applied or formally been accepted. Typically what happens with those students is they start out non-matriculated, they demonstrate college capacity, they walk into the registrar's office and say, hey, look, I got 20 hours of credit and a 3.2 GPA. Let's make this official. Stamp, stamp, it's done, they're in, it's no big deal. So that is often how those students will start, but at some point they are fully matriculating in, or they're taking those credits with them on the road and transferring into another college or university. Plans to expand. I think we got our New England Northeast spot in Burlington, and Madison for the Midwest, Eugene for the West. But you heard it here first. London, England for college, for study abroad options. Plan is fall of 2024. So if anyone's planning on heading over to England, the goal is to be able to provide a study abroad program or an international study experience in London.
I think you have a top question too. I think it's a follow-up question with the reading support. Looking to see if your facility works with a student who needs supports for reading and writing difficulties, and also with organization difficulties with initiation, follow through, completion of assignments by breaking down these assignments.
Absolutely.
I think you
Yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
touched on
So a huge part of the Mansfield Hall experience is that work with the academic director and the academic support team, including writing instructors and academic coaches, structured study hall, academic goal setting, but that also includes all of the executive functioning support that goes into the deconstruction and reconstruction of long-term assignments for students, and breaking things down and helping them navigate complex assignments and building them back up piece by piece. That's happening both in-house and helping students learn how to access those supports and services on their college campus of choice. So, both of those things are happening in parallel, but certainly, yes, there's a lot of support for students who need extra academic support. It's not exactly reteaching from a content basis, but the executive functioning, the organization, all of that work that goes into supporting students academically, which for most students actually is the challenge. The content is rarely the challenge. It's typically the organization and the task initiation. And that's why we are a centralized service delivery model. That's why those offices are under the same roof as student apartments, so we can walk across the hall and knock on their door. And that's why we're structured the way we are.
Yeah, I don't see
any
any more. And I think people are sort of dropped way down. So thank you guys so much. Wow. That was
Yeah,
like
this was amazing. At some point, we
lot of
probably, based on the level of interest, want to have you guys come back at some point. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you for having us.
This was
yeah,
great.
thank you.
So
That was
much.
great, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.